Okay, so I wanted to quickly show you guys how to use this little interactive. This is going to be an assignment that you are going to do fully in your notebook. And in order to turn it in, you are going to have to take pictures of each page of your notebook. So reminder, every notebook page you take a picture of must have your full name written on the page showing in the picture. This is just to help me make sure it's your work and not somebody else's. So if you do this over multiple pages in your notebook, you have to take a picture of each page with your name. And then you will upload all of the pictures into this Canvas assignment. So we're not always going to do stuff in our notebook like this, but this is one of those activities where you're having to sketch some graphs. So if you see, I've given you some ideas of how to set these up. And when I say sketch them, you're just sketching them, like drawing a line of what it looks like. You're not plotting all the points and making it super accurate. You're just showing me what the line looks like on a diagram, okay? So if you do not know how to upload multiple pictures in Canvas, so if you get in there and you're like, I can only upload one, this shows you how to do more than one because you're going to have more than one. If you take the pictures with your Chromebook, it'll already be in your drive. If you take the pictures with your cell phone, you will probably have to email them to yourself first and get them in your drive and then upload them into Canvas, okay? Or use the Canvas app on your phone and you can upload them straight into Canvas through your phone on the app. The video that I'm doing right now is going to sit right here. So this blank spot is going to be where the instruction video is, and then these are the directions. It's going to take a little while. That's why we only have a couple assignments this week, because it is once you get going, it'll be fine, but it is something that you're going to have to read every direction to do. All right, so we're going to do this T-chart together. So you do not have to do this in your notebook. It says done in Zoom class, so that will be our warm-up for the day. You are going to launch this interactive. Now I want to note before I do that, because it's going to open, every time it asks you to make a small sketch, you're going to be watching what the graph does, and you're going to need to make a small little sketch. So you just kind of make the axes, the X and the Y axes. So X is on bottom, Y, okay. And then if you don't want to write speed and time, you can just do S and T. And then I noticed I used a red pen. You will want a different color for your line, because sometimes your line is going to be right on the zero line, and I want to make sure it's noticeably different. So that's why it says use a red or green or blue. I don't care what color, just different than the color that you use to make your graph. Okay, so it's going to ask you to sketch. Notice what is in bold is what you have to do. It's going to ask you to describe. Okay, you're going to describe. So you're going to write this description in your notebook. It's going to ask you to predict. So you'll do predict. You're going to answer, sketch. So all of the things that you have to do are in bold. And then sometimes there's just directions. It's not you actually writing something, like click the slower button or what, it'll just give you a direction. So make sure you're going to have to go through each step to complete this. Okay, so you're going to want to do it and read it slowly. So I want to just note a couple things. When you click on this, this is the interactive. Make sure when it opens, if your Chromebook comes up with anything that says block or allow, always click allow. You want to make sure it launches the interactive. If you click block, then you have to go back into your settings and find a way to unblock it, which can be complicated if you don't know how to do it. So you're going to click on launch, and it's going to open up the interactive. And when you do that, you'll notice you're going to have a little car. It's very slow right now, apparently. There it is. Here, okay. You have controls down here. You can use the keyboard too if you have up, page down, all that. So your keyboard will work as well. I'm going to just click on this for now. You have a speedometer. So you have miles per hour in here. So just note that. This is the instructions you can go back to if you want to. But this is not my instructions. This is instructions just how to use this. My instructions are what do you need to actually write down and do. You can also click through the top. It talks a little bit about what vectors are doing. So you'll notice that you can have arrows that are going to be changing on here. The purple arrow, and then I believe the other one is a different color. What is it? Green. So green and purple arrows. Down here's the graph. This is what you're going to be watching as you're changing what the car is doing. you're going to want to watch what the graph does, because that is where you're going to sketch in these graphs, okay? So I'm going to ask you to watch the graph, and you're going to come back and sketch what the graph looked like while you were doing something to the car. So you're going to be manipulating what the car does by clicking the arrows, okay? So when you click the start, it might be just nice to play with it a couple seconds. By clicking faster, notice the purple arrow means it's accelerating, and then the green is the velocity. So once it gets to as fast as it's going to go at 60 miles per hour, it doesn't really accelerate anymore. It's just at a constant velocity. So this arrow doesn't change. But notice the graph was changing, and now we're just going at a constant velocity. Okay, you can change the side-to-side directions. I wouldn't worry about doing that though, because we're going to just, most everything we're going to do has it going relatively straight. So don't worry about the left and right. We're going to be really just using faster and slower. So notice also I can go slower, and the acceleration goes the opposite direction. Notice that. So we're negatively accelerating the car by slowing it down. And the velocity, as I slow it down, the velocity arrow gets smaller. And if I click it all the way, it finally comes to a stop. So you can get it all the way up to, oh, it's 50, not 60, 50 miles per hour, and you can slow it all the way to stop. Notice the whole time the graph was changing. So as you're going through it, you're going to be doing that. So I'm going to ask you to do some predictions first and do a little sketch. Okay, similar to this, you're going to have lots of little sketches in here. Then you're going to go to the interactive, click the faster arrow upward 10 times very quickly. So it's going to ask you to do it very quickly. When I say very quickly, I want it very quickly, like as fast as your finger goes on that. So if I were going to do it 10 times quickly, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it'll eventually get itself to a speed, right? Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That was a good speed that I just did it at. Okay, now I'm going to slow it down and try it one more time because I kind of made a mess of it. So if you get a funky graph because you were playing around with it and got a little bit messy, you can always do it again. So this is a good speed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm just clicking it till it's going. You could even keep going if you want it to all the way. It doesn't have to be 10 times. But the gist of it was kind of, what do we see? So maybe you even go 12 times to get it all the way to its max speed. I don't really care if you want to go all the way to its max speed or not. Just click it at a relatively quick and steady pace. Okay, notice what the graph's doing. It's kind of cool. Okay, now when you go back, it's going to ask you to answer, was your prediction correct? Okay, now there's other times where I'm going to say, click the faster button 3 times, pause for 3 seconds, and then click the slower button down 3 times quickly. So I might ask you to make a graph that looks like that. So you go 1, 2, 3, quick, pause, 1, 2, 3, and then down, 1, 2, 3, quick. See what your graph makes, okay? Now I also might tell you to click them slower than before. So click it 5 times, but count 1001, 1002. So you're clicking it a lot slower. So I'm going to get it to stop again. Okay, so maybe I want to, get all the way 0, go 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. Okay, and I'm going to look at my graph and see what it does. So the objective is to play around with what the graph looks like when you speed it up quickly or when you speed it up slower. So if I go quicker, okay, watching my graph, okay, what's different about the graph when it's quicker and slower? Okay, that was nice and quick. Okay, I could go much slower. See what's different about your graph. Okay, so that's the idea, paying attention to what your graph does when you're going quicker and slower. Okay, so I'm going to close that, and I'm going to, instead of giving away all the answers, I'm going to ask you guys to do that. So notice here's an example of a sketch that I did. Okay, and this is kind of how your sketches will look. It is similar to that. It's just showing what the line was doing. I'm not putting plots and numbers down. I'm just showing what the line is doing. In this part in the bottom, I'm actually asking you to tell me what you'd have to push to make this. What would I have to push as far as the arrows go, up and down? Would I push them quickly? Would I push them slowly? Would I push up? Would I pause? Would I push down? Okay, what would I do to make these graphs? So that's why you're going to play with this for a while in order to kind of understand it so you can finish this assignment. Okay, so any more questions than that, you'll have to email me.